Come back. Former Congresswoman Nancy Johnson is with us once again to talk about the past of the Republican Party and the future of it. And Congresswoman, great to see you again. You won 12 elections, correct? 11?
Every 2 years for 30 years. That's what all I remember.
So you know what it's like to be a Republican and who can win in Connecticut. George H.W. Bush was the last Republican to win, to carry Connecticut in a presidential election. That was 1988. He lost it in 92 to Bill Clinton. What's happened since then?
Well, we've gotten much more partisan, and in our thinking, in our friendships, in our circles, and diverse opinion isn't valued like it used to be. But also the opportunities to hear the details aren't as available. You know, if everybody's on their little machines, you may have short questions, short answers. We aren't at the short questions, short answers period of our national life or state life. In a sense, the old systems that were developed after, whether it's school or transportation or whatever, that were developed after World War II are failing us now. They're just not up to the speed of information flow, to the complexity of the decisions that we face. So we're really struggling, and the only way you can get through, is to listen to the facts and to know in your heart that there's something the other guy there's a piece of the truth the other guy has. And if you don't know what his piece of the truth is and understand that his piece is as necessary to the solution as your piece is, you cannot grow the answer. That's not sellout, that's discovery. And we're at the point where somehow we can't discover. Now, we have some very able Republican politicians. And it's a miracle that in a state that is in which the other party has had a veto-proof majority for a number of years and is strong again, that we are as strong as we are. But we have the leadership of the majority of towns. And so we have a stable in which people can learn what governance is about, what community is, and how we serve.
Well, let's talk about the congressional delegation, because it's all Democrat. It's been this way for a few years now. What are Republicans doing wrong?
Well, it's not entirely what Republicans are doing wrong. When you have no elected Republicans, you don't have that constant dialogue. I mean, I would say one thing, and Rosa DeLauro would say the other. And people had a chance to think, oh, yeah, that's pretty reasonable. And then they'd listen. It would engage them in the discussion. We just have echo chamber now. And the newspapers don't go. I mean, after the Republicans took the House the first time, one of the press people up in the gallery said, but I don't know any Republicans. Now, there's a lot of reporters in this state that don't know any Republicans. If you're not in the Hartford area dealing with the House and Senate Republicans who've been very creative, very well organized, very clear, you really, but the local press, where they're right there and people can see what they're doing, they get coverage. So it's not just what do the Republicans need to do. It's also that our own core leadership, whether it's press, whether it's in the parties, don't value diversity of opinion and don't understand they can't succeed without the other guy.
This was supposed to be a good year for Republicans in Connecticut. They lost seats in the Senate and in the House, and of course they lost the governorship. Why did that happen? What did they...
Well, it's really pretty simple, and it's discouraging, but we'll get over it. It happened because people don't like Trump, and he went his most extreme, from our point of view, offensive.
So he's bad for the Republican Party in Connecticut.
Well, not so much in what he wants to do, but in how he does it. So when he gets out there and talks about immigration the way he does, it breaks your heart, because you know lots of people who were immigrants. We're an immigrant nation. The truth also is that what nations have found in Europe is that mass migration is not something cultures can easily adjust to. And we have to find a way, when conflict breaks out, to protect the ordinary people. And that's sort of the next step out there in the international community. But we can't have thousands of people march on our border and just, it's against the law to come into America except through the accepted ways. And our accepted ways have, it's important to remember, been generous.
You know a lot of the folks in Washington. Do you think that he should be the president should be challenged for the nomination next time around in 2020?
Well, I think it's much too early to say.
Well, they'd have to start raising money fairly soon.
Yes, but it's hard because Trump was not the Republicans' choice. He was the press choice. You know, in all those debates, they could have turned the microphone off. If I get really out of hand, if you want to, and you know,
we could turn your microphone off, yes, but we wouldn't.
Yeah, you know, well, they should have in those debates when he was encroaching on other people's times, and especially after the first debate when she saw what the technique was. Yeah. I mean, there has to be the adults in the room have to be again behaving like adults, and we can. I mean, we got President, and I say we because he was elected because there's a lot of people in America who communicate only through tweets, for whom Washington is so far away and does so many bad things in their lives they couldn't care less. So that's communication. That's what we don't talk to each other anymore. We tweet and we get angry.
Do you think Bob Stefanowski would have won if Donald Trump wasn't in office?
Oh, I think he might very well have. In fact, I think it's likely.
Who do you like for future Republican candidates for governor in our state?
Well, I think we have to look more back to people like Len and
Len Fasano?
Yeah, Len Fasano and the leader in the House.
Demis Claridis?
Yeah, Demis. And then some of our very, very capable selectmen. I mean, one of the things I was really proud of as a Republican was the quality of all our candidates for governor. I mean, every one of them was an accomplished, steady, rational, able person.
You endorsed Aaron Stewart, as I recall, correct?
Aaron Stewart, yeah, a very good example. But most of them had some small town experience, or I mean, city experience. So we are running a caliber of people that they aren't running, in my estimation. But it is hard to work under the shadow of Trump because his method is to create conflict, and that's not a method that we like.
Congresswoman Nancy Johnson, we thank you so much for being with us today. Great to see you again.
Thank you.
We'll have you on again. When we come back, we'll talk with 3 local leaders about what the state needs to do for cities and towns come 2019. And we welcome your comments. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.